Welcome back to Self-Help Guys. Today we're going to be talking about a really cool topic, mindfulness. First off, we got to make a very important introduction. My best friend Andrew is here. Best friend since, I guess it was like freshman year of high school is when we met. In addition to being a longtime good friend, Andrew's actually in law school at USC right now, living in LA. That's crazy. It's actually funny. I think there are more photos on Facebook of you and I tagged together, way more than my wife, than my kids,
Yep.
By far. So it's pretty funny.
Took a lot of pictures back then and uploaded all of them to Facebook.
Single one.
That's what you did back then.
That is exactly what you did. Nowadays it's a lot better.
Instagram
no one cares,
exactly.
So mindfulness. I will totally acknowledge that there are so many good resources out there on mindfulness, ones that are going to be way better than this little introductory video. And the purpose of this video isn't to really teach you everything you need to know about mindfulness, because so many people who are smarter than me have already done that. So I would love to get your take on mindfulness and kind of your journey with it. And then I think it would be cool to just give some, like, people who are beginning or starting out, just some things that maybe I wish I would have known or you wish that you would have known when we started, to make that a smoother transition and to really understand it on a better level. And it's something I love teaching to all my clients, and I love being able to use the resources that are already out there. And so this will really just help people be able to jump in a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to add my own favorite resources. I'm going to have you tell me what your favorite resources are, and we're going to actually have them in the description below so that you guys can see, all the different vast majority of options that there are out there for starting mindfulness. I want to get your insights on mindfulness and kind of how you found out about it and what you used it for. So give us a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So about a year and a half ago, at the beginning of the summer, I went through some pretty difficult challenges in my life. One of my best friends committed suicide. I was going through some other pretty serious issues with other people. And I was having these really, really terrible racing thoughts at night. I couldn't sleep very well. There were even a few days in a row where I wasn't sleeping at all. I went 3 or 4 days maybe without sleep. Just stressing a lot. I would have panic attacks, and it was right in the middle of the summer in Washington, D.C., so I was really hot and sweaty all the time, and just was never a good combination. So it was a really difficult time, and so I started practicing using Headspace, actually, the app. It was a great introduction to mindfulness meditation, really gave a really good background. And then I decided to go with Waking Up by Sam Harris, his meditation app, which I really strongly recommend. What I like about it is it had lessons, which would talk about kind of the theory behind mindfulness meditation, and then it has the practice, the actual meditations that are guided. So I started that, and it greatly, greatly helped the way I was able to deal with these racing thoughts, and the way I was able to cope with a lot of the trials I was going through and a lot of the grief and everything.
So when you started mindfulness, what did you find to be the most challenging?
I think the kind of person I am, I would get angry at myself for not being able to focus. So I'd start, meditating, and whenever there was a silence, I would kind of notice that my thoughts would go off as they do. Especially when you first start, when you're giving any kind of silence, you're really trying to focus. It seems like my mind was just getting bombarded with all these random memories and facts and just random stuff. It was very, very crazy. And I would get upset with myself for having that happen. And that kind of hindered my progress, because that's very natural at first. It's not abnormal or anything. I think I just kind of got upset with myself too much for having a lack of focus at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think you are hitting something that so many of my clients have said to me before in sessions. And it's funny because there's this huge myth around mindfulness that it means that you're able to clear your mind completely and focus on exactly, whatever guided meditation you're working on or whatever your task you're doing in real life. And I find that is a huge barrier for a lot of people, because they get mad at themselves, just like you mentioned, where they're like, they snap back into it and they're like, oh man, I missed the last 30 seconds and I keep getting distracted. This is so frustrating.
Yeah.
And what's funny is you actually, in the statement of, talking about why you would get mad at yourself, hit what mindfulness is exactly, and that's noticing and observing. So you're noticing when your thoughts would go off into something else.
Exactly.
And then when you gently bring them back, that's mindfulness.
Yeah, it's true. Just being aware.
Exactly. Something that you said in there made me have another thought of something that I really like to drive home with my clients. And that is this idea of not judging your thoughts or even judging yourself for the thoughts that you're having.
Yeah.
A lot of times we like to label different thoughts as good or bad, or like, oh, that's a positive thought, I need to keep thinking that, or oh, that's a negative thought, I need to get rid of that. And the nice thing about mindfulness is that it doesn't matter. You go in with this attitude of non-judgment and acceptance, which really helps, because I feel like how we interpret the thoughts is where a lot of the problems come up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not in the thought itself, but in how we relate to the thought.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we are able to go into it with like an open mind and we don't have judgment on ourselves or the thought, then it really opens the door for that better relationship to develop.
For me, it just kind of feels like I'm, instead of being immersed in my thoughts, like if the thoughts were a pool, instead of being in the pool, I'm kind of standing next to the pool just watching it. Like I'm not jumping in. I can see, though, that's my thought. I can see this coming in. You know, I may be angry because someone cut me off in traffic, or I may be, you know, upset because I didn't get the grade I wanted in something. But instead of dwelling in that thought and being stuck in the pool, I can kind of just step back for a second and say, okay, I'm having this thought. I'm noticing it. If you get used to it, you can kind of just notice those things and then let it pass away.
Yeah, I love that pool analogy. I know that for some people, it's not just a pool, but it's like a whirlpool.
That's true,
so
yeah.
you like dip your foot in, you just get sucked down.
That's much better. I like the Whirlpool, yeah. That's very true.
And then you're just getting tossed around, and life's terrible, but awesome.
No, I like the Whirlpool analogy, because then you're kind of spinning around, not going anywhere, kind of racing. That's a good one. I like that.
And I think mindfulness might even be a good way to pull yourself out of the whirlpool.
Yeah.
Because the whirlpool is only existing in everything else that isn't the present moment. So the whirlpool is the past or the future. It's the past that you're sad about or the future that you're worried about.
It's never the present.
It's never the present.
I notice a lot with road rage. I get road rage a lot, but and what's funny?
I remember your road
Oh,
rage.
it was terrible. I mean, I'm a very, very aggressive driver, but I mean, in high school, it was something else. I had a certain number of tickets before I was 17. I'll just say that. And but yeah, I mean, you know, I would notice that I would get angry at someone on the road. Someone would cut me off, and I'd think about it for the next like 5 minutes, and I'd finally realize, why am I thinking about this? It already happened. There's no point. I don't know why I'm worried about this anymore. And so mindfulness really teaches you to kind of, you know, you'll get angry. It's not going to stop you from getting angry, but you'll kind of be able to let that pass, because you'll realize it's just completely pointless and it's not helpful. I don't know.
I love it. So that segues nicely into a few other things that I feel are important for people to understand when they're trying mindfulness out for the first time, and that is that it's not actually a relaxation, or relaxation isn't the goal. Mm-hmm. And I know that's where a lot of people get hung up, and they'll come back to me, you know, next therapy session. They're like, "Oh, it didn't work. I didn't feel relaxed. I just noticed that I felt really anxious." I'm like, well, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
like,
you noticed.
Yeah, you noticed. That's I'd say good noticing. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. And they get hung up. They're like, what? Like, but I didn't feel better or relaxed. And I always try to say, you know, that's actually not the goal with mindfulness. It's not to be super relaxed and in this, like, you know, alternate universe dissociating from your body, but it's just a present moment awareness. People think, you know, going back to that idea of like, oh, you have to be, you know, relaxed, crossing your legs, you know, with the whole Zen, like
on a pillow,
right? Exactly.
Under a tree.
You got the Tibetan singing bowl.
Yep. Incense and everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like that.
It really doesn't. Like, you can be driving in the car, brushing your teeth, eating an orange.
Although I will say, I mean, since I'm wanting to be a lawyer, don't try to meditate with guided meditation while you're driving. It's one thing that the apps will actually make very clear as well. So just to clear you from any possible litigation.
It's good to have lawyer friends.
Too bad I can't charge him yet.
Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, guys, to summarize, this was just a short video to give you a very brief and broad introduction to mindfulness and maybe some tips for beginners. It's not intended to give you all the information you need if you want to start, because there are so many better resources than us two to give you that guidance. And like I said, those are in the description below. In the next video, we're actually going to explore how mindfulness even helps, like the theory behind it that actually will improve your life or improve your situation, whether it's with depression or anxiety, whatever it might be. So in that video, we're going to really dive into how it actually helps. Until then.